Alright guys, I'm here to give you my second Walking Dead review of the day. This one is Season 3, Episode 2, and it's called Sick. And I think there's two different meanings to it, so let's talk about this. It came out on October 21st, 2012, and episode kicks off with where it left off last time, actually, with them Herschel's leg, him bleeding out and everything, and everyone panicking about it. And the prisoners see them. They ask what's going on. They say this guy just has a hurt leg. He's bleeding out. And I guess they tell him not to go with them, just stay here and stuff. And they take Herschel back. They put him on one of those lunch carts you see. And they went off with him. And one of the walkers gets in, and T-Dog kills it, and the prisoners follow them, and they continue to run, and they get in, and I don't think Daryl went in, and they put Herschel down on one of the cells on the bed, probably his cell, and they stop the bleeding. Carol and Lori stop it. And we hear Daryl and T-Dog yelling at the prisoners. They want them to leave. They're giving them a free pass to leave. But there's like the leader. I don't even know if it ever said his name. I'm gonna look it up though. You know, it's always nice to look it up. I think it was Thomas and Andrew. I think Andrew's the leader. Let me just check real quick. I don't really know who the leader is. I haven't even really heard their names yet, but I think they there was a leader, and I think his name was Tommy, and he was wearing a shirt. I can't really describe him. They don't want to leave, pretty much. They want to stay here because it's their prison, and they feel like they should stay. And they're kind of not really sure what's going on. Rick hears all the commotion that's going on, and Glenn's gonna go with him, but Rick wants him to stay by Herschel's side in case he dies, and he wants him to stay there with Herschel. And Glenn does that. And Rick goes out though, see what's going on, and the prisoners have no idea what's going on. He said one of the guards left him in the cafeteria, and that was like 224 days ago or something like that, 294 or something like that. And they know that the walkers though are there, and they're just completely unaware what's going on. They have no clue since they've been trapped in prison forever. So they tell them that it's like the Walking Dead, that there's this disease going on, and that if you die, you come back as a walker. So if we decided to take a gun and shoot you in the head, you would come back as a walker. That's pretty much the gist of it. They tell them that there's no phone, no internet, like half of the human population's gone. And they don't believe it, so they take them outside, and they see what's outside. Well, first, they probably felt great being outside in the sunlight, because, they just felt great. And I'm getting a text. Okay, so it's about something on Facebook. I thought it was a text. Anyhow, what was I talking about? Yeah, they get a, they get to go outside, and they see all the carnage that's happened. It's like, ugh. And, the Rick, Daryl, T-Dog are all gonna let them go. And they don't want to leave, pretty much. They feel like this is their prison. They were there first. But Rick's like, hey, we killed all these guys to get here, and we're going to stay here in a safe spot. So they make a deal, pretty much. That they asked how much food they got. They said a little. And they said, if you give us food, well, like half of your food supplies. Um, you will give you half the cell, so they get to go into a different part of the cell. And I guess they came to an agreement. Um, and Rick and Lori start talking, and Rick talks about how Lori, how he might have to kill them and do what it takes. And Lori says, "Do whatever it takes to keep this group safe. I'll support you." And Rick's like, "You always say that, but we know it's not true." So kind of like some tension of their relationship kind of going in like down the toilet. But then Maggie doesn't think that Herschel's gonna survive her father. Um, she thinks that they shouldn't have left him because then he wouldn't be dead. Well, he wouldn't be able to die. And Glenn thinks that they'll survive. He's like, after all we've been through, he can survive this. And she later talks to Beth, um, and she doesn't have any faith that's gonna survive. He's like, don't get your hopes up that he's gonna survive. I don't want you to get your expectations set too high. And Beth's like, why are you doing this? Why are you giving up on Dad? So this reminded me of the conversation we had when Beth was going to commit suicide and try to convince Maggie to commit suicide. It was like the exact same conversation, pretty much. So it's good that Maggie has some faith. And Maggie talks to her father. She wants him to stop fighting, pretty much. Just die peacefully. You don't need to worry about me and Maggie. We'll be fine. We'll take care of each other. Just die peacefully. If it's your time, just die. She doesn't say it like rudely, but it was like big emotion. This was actually pretty emotional. I didn't tear up, but I got a little emotional when I saw this. And later on, there might have been later on or earlier, Carl comes in and he comes in with a bag and he was supposed to handle the food supplies, and he comes in with the infirmary stuff, and they were happy at first, but Lori's like, why did you go out there by yourself? And he's like, yeah, I took out 2 walkers. And Lori's pissed because she's worried about him, I guess, and she's like, look what happened to Herschel when he was with everybody else. His leg's gone. And Carlo's like, I can take care of myself. I took out 2 walkers. And Lori's like, that's not the point, and he gets upset. And Beth's like, don't talk to your mother like that. And it was kind of pretty emotional stuff. And Carol needs Glenn's help with something. She's trying to learn how to be like a nurse too. Well, a doctor like Herschel is. Well, Willie's he's a vet, but I guess he knows how to be a doctor too. And I think since Herschel was supposed to be the one to deliver the baby from Lori, get the baby out of there. Carol's going to be the one to do it instead because Herschel can't even stand up anymore. And that's probably what's going to happen. And so she finds one of the walkers, and it's a chick, obviously. And Glenn distracts the rest. There's like a ton of them, and Carol kills it and goes and gets it. Kind of the gist of it. At first, Glenn didn't even want to help her because he was told to stay there, like Rick said. So, but eventually, they were like, "No, we got this." Herschel ends up almost dying though. He wasn't breathing or anything, and Maggie and Beth got concerned. So then Lori comes in and gives him mouth to mouth and tries to beat on his heart like this. I forget what that move's called, but then eventually he starts breathing again, which was good. I actually thought he died, and he didn't, so I thought that was a good scene. And now I'm gonna get to the part where they start bringing the prisoners towards the food. They don't really know how this stuff works. They've never killed really any walkers before since they've been trapped there so long. They were in the cafeteria for forever. So they're like, what? So they're telling them they like to use like not weapon. They're telling them they can't use guns and they don't understand why, but then they're like because they can hear it, um, and they don't really understand how it works. So this is kind of like a training camp, if you will. And then they get the food, and Rick goes to this room. Is like, "What's in here?" And he's like, "Oh, you don't want to know." And then he goes, "No," and they're like, "Oh, you don't want to open that door." And then he goes in, and it was where the prisoners take like a shit and stuff. Um, and then they go have then they're escorting the prisoners towards the their half of the prison, um, of the cells and stuff, like the other half, and they meet like a bunch of walkers along the way. They meet a couple, and at first they don't really know how to like physically go attack them, because normally you see like they'll just shoot them in the head or um, like just chop it up in the head, because I think that's like the weak spot is the head. But they just go attack them. They don't really go after the head. They just beat the shit out of them, which is good. Um, so then they're teaching them how to do it, and then they do it. And then a ton of them come, and there was this big prisoner, this big black one. He was like huge. Um, he gets taken out. One of the prisoners was handcuffed, and one of the walkers was handcuffed, I should say. And I guess the handcuffs comes off, and he gets scratched. And Rick has to cut his arm off, and they're like, "Why can't you do something?" Oh, no, or put him down. He's like, "Why can't we do something either? Why can't we just lock him up, put him under quarantine, something else? There's got to be another way," because they don't understand. And then the leader um, just kills him, just repeatedly, and he gets like this murderous look on his face, obviously like he's a murderer. And Rick and Dale get worried about him, and Dale's like, if if he if he does something, if he makes a move, just give me the signal or something. And I think Rick nods his head, and then Rick um, kills off. Eventually, Rick gives the leader the keys. He's gonna be the one that keeps the keys because I guess he's the leader. And he opens the cell door, and a bunch of walkers come out, and Rick, Dale, T-Dog, and all the prisoners start killing them. And the leader throws a walker onto Rick, and he actually had almost hit him with his bat too, which was awesome. And Dale kills him, and then Rick kills after they had killed everyone. Rick kills the prisoner, and there was like there was another black guy. I know that there was a lot. I know that's like it's not racist, but I know that's not the best way to describe it, but that's how he was. And Rick, he doesn't understand. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" And Rick chases him, and he runs away, and eventually he runs outside, and there's like a bunch of walkers out there, and he tries to run back in, but Rick closes the gate, and he gets locked out, and Rick's like, and he's like, "Come on, man, open it," and Rick's like, "You better start running." And then the guy runs, and obviously he gets caught by the walkers. Um, and then Rick asked the other two prisoners what's going on, and there was one that was kind of like the weak. He was just begging for it, like, "I've never killed anybody in my life. I didn't have anything to do with that. Please let me live." And the other one doesn't beg for his life. He's like, "If you got to do what you got to do, what you got to do." Because he says he's never begged for his life, and he's not going to start now. But they let them live, and just leave him, give him his half, and that was kind of it. And T-Dog gives him advice to go outside and burn the bodies. Um, then afterwards, Rick, Daryl, and T-Dog reunite with the group, and Herschel, they kind of get a the info about what happened. They get recapped. Um, and Herschel wakes up. He comes back to life, and it was a big happy moment, which I thought was awesome, and I really liked that moment. He didn't say anything really, probably because he just came back to life. And then and they actually handcuffed him to the bed. I think in case he did die, because remember if you die, you turn into a walker. So they handcuffed him to the bed too. So I forgot to mention that. And then we see Carol cutting open the vagina of the walker. It's well, it's the stomach, but it's gonna be the vagina. Gonna practice how to deliver the baby, and we see somebody. I don't know if it's a person. I don't know if it's a walker, but we see somebody like watching through the woods. I don't know who it is, and I think we're gonna find out the next episode. And then afterwards, Rick and Lori talk about because early in the episode, Lori even talked about how she may not be the best wife or the mother of the year. Um, they talk about how they're gonna clear out the prison and stuff, just kind of start the typical conversation. And then Rick says, "You're not a bad mom. You're a good mom." And Lori's like, "Well, not in this world or something." And then Lori's like, "Do we even? Are we at that point of our relationship where we don't even have to talk about it anymore?" And Rick even talked about how she saved her show, and Laura's like, "Well, if you didn't act as fast, you wouldn't be, you did the right thing." And then she said and Rick's like, "I appreciate what you did," and then there was kind of nothing. So, and they even talked about too. I think they were referencing a divorce or something, like their marriage isn't going well because they were like, now we can't even get. She talked about how they can't get like lawyers and stuff to have a divorce. So that's how the episode ended, and I thought this actually was a good episode. I like this episode. With the prisoners, I like that. I like the Herschel situation, and kind of leaves me with a cliffhanger. What's gonna happen between Rick and Laurie's marriage? I like that storyline because obviously the marriage is gonna be at odds. I don't know what it is that kind of. I think maybe like what happened was at first, like we knew the marriage was bad before before this all this stuff even happened with the Walkers, before the Walkers even got there, because they talked about it and they even talked about how they got married young, because they looked like they were about in their 30s when they probably got married in their 20s. Obviously, I think they looked like they were in their early 30s, mid to late 30s, and I think when Lori thought Rick was dead, Rick came back, and then they didn't come back to life, but when she found out Rick was alive, she was happy to see him. The marriage got revamped, and that's actually what I think was a good thing at first when this whole situation started. They looked at it as a negative, and I kind of looked for that. And if you looked at it from the marriage perspective, it had made the marriage a little stronger, maybe made it last a little longer. But I think they realize now that it's not as well. And I think Shane, I don't know if it's because Rick killed Shane. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just don't have that click anymore. I don't know what it is, but their marriage, it's kind of going down the toilet right now. It kind of feels like that they're just kind of more like, doesn't really feel like that they're really friends either. It just kind of feels like that they're kind of like acquaintances, to be honest with you. They're just kind of like there. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like that they're friends. They don't really even talk that much anymore. So I don't know what's going on with that. But good episode this week. I'll be back to review another one. I might just make a shit ton of them today. I don't even think I'm going to just review 3. I might just review 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Probably not 10. Maybe 6, though.